Welcome everyone, this is Vintage Story, and in today's video we're going to be covering how to make blue cheese. Now I have a whole bunch of other tutorial videos on the channel, so check out the playlist which is linked below. If you're new, intermediate, or maybe even an advanced player, you might learn something. But if you do enjoy today's video, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe for more Vintage Story content, and let's get into blue cheese. For the start, we're going to actually go through the process of making cheese first, which is quick and easy once you've got the hang of it and you have the right ingredients. So we'll cover all that right now, and then we'll jump into making blue cheese and creating the room that you'll need for the blue cheese. So if you know how to make cheese wheels already, just use the timestamps down below to skip ahead in the video. So the first thing we want is a barrel of milk. As you can see, I've got 50 liters right here in front of me, and now we're going to have to insert some pickled veg in there. So you definitely have to have salt for cheese for multiple stages, and the first one is to pickle some sort of veg. So that you're going to need to prepare ahead of time, but once you've got it, you'll put 2 in for 50 liters, and you can see the tooltip pops up and says it will turn into curdled milk, which is what we want. So we'll seal that up, and then we can jump right over here to the curdled milk. And once we've got a barrel full of that, we'll take some salt, exactly 5 little sprinkles of it. I'm also going to go ahead and grab the sticks and the piece of linen. That's going to be for the next stage though, so let's stay focused on the curdled milk. I open up this barrel, put in 5 pieces of salt. The tooltip comes up confirming that we've got the measurements right, and we'll have cottage cheese after a day. Right here we have a barrel of cottage cheese. This is the last step, and then we're going to be moving on to the actual blue cheese. But the first thing you need to do is crouch with the piece of linen in your hand, and then you right click, and that should give you a curd bundle, which we're now going to place on the floor, again by crouching and right clicking. With some sticks in your hand, you want to hold down the right mouse button until it compresses all the way, and it'll release automatically on its own when it's done, and it opens up to a beautiful white cheese wheel. Now we need salt again for this stage, so this is still just technically a curd bundle, but when I sprinkle a little bit of salt, we get the wheel automatically in my inventory. So I've got some raw cheese, and at this point you have the option. You can turn it into cheddar cheese by storing it away just in a regular cellar on a shelf, or you can attempt the blue cheese, which is a little bit trickier, and we're going to go into the details of what we need for this right now. On the Vintage Story wiki page, there is a section for cheese, and there's a small part there about blue cheese. Now the information there is all accurate, and it is helpful, but it's somewhat vague, and of course there's no visual guide. So that's what inspired me to make today's video. But the first 2 and most important things are the temperature and the light levels, and the wiki will tell you this too, but the temperature is most important because essentially we're leaving this cheese outside. That's right, we're not putting it in a cellar. In fact, to call the room that we're going to make a cellar is incorrect. It is not a cellar, and if you've got some sort of mod that tells you if you've got a cellar built, then you've done it wrong. You do not want a cellar. Essentially, like I said, it's going to be in a low light, colder area, and the temperature is important because we don't want this blue cheese to spoil before it has a chance to actually turn into cheese. So that's why temperature is important, because it needs to be cold enough for it to last outdoors. So if you're in a warmer region down south near the equator, or even during the height of the summer, it's probably not going to be a good place for making blue cheese, sadly. But I'm here in October, the temperature is 2 degrees C, and it gets even colder at night, so I don't have to worry that much. I think this is a good time to make blue cheese. So let's talk about the next most important thing, and that is the light levels. And now that we've determined the area we're at is cold enough that the cheese won't rot as it ripens, we want to dig ourselves a room that will have basically zero natural light. And one thing to note is you can use a door, but it needs to be one of the open type doors. And that means it has to have the hole in here. There are trap doors that are like this too that can be used. It just can't be the solid door. Now, if all you have are solid doors, if you really like the look of the solid door, you can do that. Just make sure you have a secondary opening to the outside, of course. And like I said, we've got to make sure that it's far enough back that we lose all the light here. And we're going to see that in a second. One thing to note, I've dug just a straight tunnel, but you can achieve this by putting bends where the light won't turn the corners. If you do that enough, and you're working in a limited size room or space, that will achieve the desired outcome as well. But for me, I've got plenty of room here under the mountains, so I've just functionally dug all the way to the point where the lighting stops. You can see it's extremely dim, and if we use a few hay bales to block that off, yeah, near perfect darkness in here. And of course we don't want to seal it off, that's just for testing the light levels. But now that we've done that, let's put the cheese on the shelf. Pay attention to the top at the tooltip there where it says 24.5 days, 2% to ripen. Good, that's perfect. That number is less than the time until it rots, which is what we want. You can see it's going to be fresh for 95 days here. Again, very important temperature wise. Light level is what's going to determine whether this turns into blue cheese versus cheddar cheese. Now, we should talk about the benefits of blue cheese, and there really only is one. That is, the length of the shelf life is a little bit greater than cheddar cheese. But as with most things like that, you do sacrifice a bit of satiety over the blue cheese versus the cheddar cheese. But if that's what you're going for, the ultimate shelf life, then blue cheese is what you want. And remember, if you're a completionist like me and you want to try and make everything in the game, then blue cheese is probably going to be one of those things that you'll have to set up a special little area for. And of course, I hope that this video will help you accomplish your goal. Now, I'm not going to wait the 20-some days to confirm this because I've already used this cellar several times, so I know that this will certainly turn into blue cheese. And as you saw in my home cellar, I've got plenty of wheels to prove that for sure. But I really appreciate everybody coming by for this tutorial. Once again, I've got plenty of vintage story content on the channel, so if you're a fan and you haven't checked it out, make sure you go in the description of this video. All the links are down there for the various playlists. Also, a link to my Patreon is down there if you want to support the channel, or you can follow me on Twitch too and catch me doing some live streams for Vintage Story. But either way, everybody, thank you so much. I hope this has helped you, and I will see you on the next one.